Hi, everybody. My name is Nick. So, welcome to the next part of our live stream. And the way this is set up on this Wednesday morning is that we had like two live streams back to back, which are really meant for use in a classroom. We have, here in Germany, we talk about like scenario B and scenario C. So like half-size classes or no classes going on right now. I know some of you might actually be in class right now. So, but even if you're not, that's the point I was trying to make, that's okay. You can do this exercise alone as well. Maybe you're even connected through like a video conferencing system at the same time, and you can break into small groups, whatever works. Just make the best out of the situation. But the intention anyway is that you can use this in during class right now. So, yeah, I'm a teacher in Germany at a school in Hildesheim, and I'm also the coordinator for our Baltic Sea Project Global Citizenship Education program. And some of you might have heard me talk about that a little bit last night at the opening ceremony. And if you didn't, just very quickly, for the next about like 6 years, we've basically started this program for global citizenship education as a way to just focus more on this topic, focus more on transformative education. The Baltic Sea Project is a peace project. In the past, we've focused a lot on like the ecological aspects of the Baltic Sea, and it's always kind of just depended on what's going on, what's going around this region, what's needed right now. And right now, one of the things we're noticing is that even though we are situated regionally, geographically around the Baltic Sea, that there are global issues going on. And we may be acting in our families, in our schools, and in this setting, but we're dealing with global issues. And that's kind of behind global citizenship education. Sometimes you say something like, think global, act local belongs to it as well. But it's also this acting, it's taking action where we're just starting to realize more and more, hey, young people, you can take action. You don't need degrees, you don't need 15 years of experience. You don't need to wait. You shouldn't wait necessarily. You can, and if you want to, if it's there, if the motivation's there, then act, do something. And the motivation is almost always there. It depends on what you want, right? What's fun? What do you want to do? But if you know about what's going on, and you have the skills necessary for that, and it's things you value, then then you're going to act. That's kind of the principle but behind any type of like transformative education, that you transform somebody in such a way that they are then able to act in this new situation. So let's start with the presentation. So I already mentioned that I'm the coordinator, that I'm a teacher at a school, and I also coordinate our Department for Education for Sustainable Development. And outside of school, I work for Educational Greenhouse, and there kind of act as an expert for transformative education and also digital education. So, but moving along with feeling global citizenship education and the topic, I'd like to start with this picture. And this is us. That's me. It's we. It's this little blue thing. And of course, this picture, it's one of the first pictures. It's called Earthrise, and one of the first pictures taken from Earth, from outer space, just kind of showing the small, vulnerable something in the middle of space. And it can be a little scary to think about how vulnerable our planet is, especially considering just what's going on right now, and that we're seeing that the planet, life on this planet, is quite vulnerable. At the same time, it can be extremely exciting because it shows how much we're all connected now. All of this, we're all together, we're all connected. and that in a very practical manner. We really are connected through technology and globalization. We are absolutely connected, and that also means that we are very much able to make a global impact, and we can get together with other people and work on global problems. I guess too bad there are those global problems, but that's the other side, that we are able to take this global effort, and that's kind of the positive side of things as well. So for the first time in human history, what we're able to do, if you look at like a telescope, right, and we're looking out, and now you bend that telescope around, and what we're able to do is we're able to look at ourselves, at the entire system. So and that requires kind of another way of thinking. So we always started with the whole Earth, and then to understand it, we would like break it down, be very analytical, break it down, our understanding in different, in different subjects as well. And in each subject, break it down more. And now it's time to really put those pieces back together and start understanding the whole system, the whole planet, the whole society. And that's not easy. That's not necessarily how we've functioned over the last several hundred years. And so it's not something that you can just expect people to do. You can't just expect them to always be thinking about every action of theirs and kind of like this global mindset. So sometimes people think citizenship education is like, we don't need citizenship. We're just all citizens of the planet. And I don't know, we're going to get together and just, have global impact. But that's not just the case. It's also a very different way of thinking about every type of problem, about everything we encounter locally, and really kind of putting it into a global perspective. And we'll start thinking systemically. And this systemic way of thinking, this is something that is relatively new in the last few hundred years. So we see our planet, we see our society, and we see every single person in this system, and we can even start to see our impact, to measure impact. And that's one of the things that got me extremely interested in this topic, global citizenship education. I didn't know the word 5 years ago. I'm going to be completely honest. Now I claim to be an expert in this field, and I had no idea what this was about 5 years ago. So, and then I read a book called Factfulness by Hans Rosling. That must have been about 3 years ago, when I was just getting into the topic and finding out more about it. And and he really just uses data, information over the last centuries, but especially over the last 40 to 50 years, to show all of the positive progress, the positive developments we've been making. And that's pretty incredible to see what the last generations, right, have, what kind of progress they've made. And this is something that, in light of the problems we have now, we're quick to forget, what has been done over these 40 to 50 years. And we can focus on the 4 or 5, really big problems that have gotten worse and worse and worse during that time. But we shouldn't forget like these 30, 40, 100. I mean, there's so many examples in this book, going from, education and inequality and poverty and so many other issues where we have taken leaps and bounds, and it's scientific data. There's absolutely, nothing you can say about it. It is so clear that all of these people that have been working on those problems for the last 40 or 50 years, they did it. They made a huge measurable difference in the world. They made this world a little bit better. And that gave me so much hope. And I just realized, okay, it's possible. We can make that difference. Sometimes it's tough to see that. I think this thought of wow, making a global impact, but it's a united effort. There's millions of people involved in making this effort, and they're not doing it just on a global level. They are making this impact where they can make an impact. And you start with yourself, and maybe it's your family, it's your community. Before I was interested in global citizenship education, it was my volleyball club, and that was what I spent 10 years on doing, just coaching and youth sports and putting my energy into a club. And that was where I could make an impact. And I didn't have this global sense. It's something I didn't know enough about it. I didn't feel like I was able to make that impact. And so that's why I think the global citizenship education, that if you realize, if you know what it means to make an impact and you have the global perspective, then you're able to make decisions, that are going to lead you in this way to really have an impact on the whole system. So I think that when you hear global citizenship education, you're going to have kind of an idea about what it feels like. Okay, talking about the feeling, just thinking global citizenship education, maybe just listening to the keynotes last night, even my last 10 or 15 minutes, but you might not have like a definition for it. So let me just give you like these 2 sentences here before we move on. First of all, from UNESCO, global citizenship education aims to be transformative, building the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that learners need to be able to contribute to a more inclusive, just, and peaceful world. Put it simply, global citizenship education provides me with what I need to make the world a little bit better, maybe a little bit better than how I found it. And that's that's the point. So of course, okay, we need different knowledge, right? We need different skills, not just things I can do with my hands, also, emotional skills, social skills, etc. And then the values and the attitudes. That's another really important point, because we need to think about, what are some universal values? And you'll see a lot of that in, the 30 human rights that were passed at UN level, or the 17 goals for sustainable development. And so these are definitely some goals, and they, there's values that are in these goals as well. And with attitudes, it's also very similar to the word values, perhaps. For me, it's about our mindset too. It's almost kind of how we view our ability to make these changes, that we want to. I want to be part of that. I'm positive about this. I'm optimistic. I am convinced that we can make a difference. I believe in this. And these are attitudes as well, that if you're going to be teaching global citizenship education, if you're going to be going out there and you want to work together with these other people, you're going to need to kind of have this this attitude as well. And so that's important. So of course, the thought, how does this work from I don't know, from birth to a point at some age X, whatever, how, what kind of education do we need, where I'm just there, I'm like, let's do this. I want to get something done, and I can get something done, and that's how we're going to do it. Ban Ki-moon, I think was a UN Secretary General, and I think in 2012 it was, where he said, education gives us a profound understanding that we are tied together as citizens of the global community, and that our challenges are interconnected. I have this here because I think it's important. I mentioned it one time. You don't have to go out. You don't have to leave your home, go to a different country, and and solve some kind of global issues. You just, it's important that you just understand, first of all, we're in this together. I am the system. And it's all interconnected. And wherever I influence the system, positive way, I am influencing the entire system. Global citizenship education aims to be transformative. So we are talking, again, I also kind of mentioned this with attitudes and values. It really leads to the opinion, the conviction that we can, I understand, I am able because I value myself, because I value others, because I value the planet. And this is a point you could say, yeah, well, I don't, and I don't care. Yeah, that's the point, right? that that we, if you're kind of standing up for transformative education, then you're saying, yeah, but it would be better for all of our society and for our world if education kind of leads us to having these values, to us valuing the society that we're born into and the planet that is providing us with a home, and valuing ourselves, which means being very open about the question, why me, why am I here, what's my purpose, what do I want to do. And it's an important question, and you can address it very openly, and a transformative education addresses this. So, and the reason, so the why you value these things, right? Theoretically now, is not because Ban Ki-moon, or a teacher or a politician or somebody says they're important. It's because you feel it. You are going out, you're wanting to make a difference, and then making positive change because you feel it. And that's why I think it's so important to not just talk about global citizenship education, kind of like what I'm doing right now, sorry, but to really feel it in the end, and to understand what being a global citizen feels like. And that's going to get us a lot further, and that's the point in what we're doing today. So we're going to start. I'm not sure how long I've been going on right now. I hope it's only been about like 15 or 20 minutes. And we are going to take another 35 or 40 minutes then for these tasks. So, first task, we have various global citizens, just a persona. Okay, it's not a person yet. It's just kind of maybe a theoretical start of a person. And you're going to form groups of 3 or 4 and decide which of these above personas you would like to work with as a group. Okay, it doesn't have to be your grade, your age. It can be a different person, but you're going to be putting yourselves in their shoes. Okay, and viewing kind of the world from their perspective. So it's also important to understand that we're talking about like the ideal global citizen. All right. So everybody, sitting, standing, whatever you're doing right now, get rid of the idea that you consider yourself to be the perfect global citizen. Okay. Maybe I would consider many of you to be that person, and I find that a lot with young people. I'm like, wow, they're way further than I ever was at that age, and I'm sure that applies to some of you. But it doesn't matter, because usually the way it works is that even if you are that global citizen, there's always those things where you're like, yeah, but there is maybe more, or that, or maybe it's even I don't know, I'm missing some motivation. That global citizen, they would be even more motivated, and they would be happier doing these things than I would be. So there's always something, right? So they feel connected to society locally and globally. They feel connected, a deep connection to nature, respecting their planet. Everything they do, they are at peace with themselves, utterly convinced that they are doing good for the society and for the planet. And in this next, let's say take 8 minutes now, if you've already been thinking, okay, about it, and turn this persona into a person. That means get a piece of paper, write down, give them a name, gender, hobbies, interests, family, profession, favorite sports team, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever. Give them a real life. Just get it out there. Get into a group and you just start going. Man, his name's Jack, and Jack's this, and get different ideas and just kind of create this person out of nowhere. Be creative and kind of crazy, because we're not talking too much about, we're keeping things very simple. A global citizen can have a favorite sports team, okay? Don't worry about that. They have a partner, they have some children, they have a profession. It can be any profession. So that's just to kind of give them a life, okay? And that's gonna be number, that's right. That's what am I saying? That's right. So take 8 minutes to do task 1, and we'll see each other for task 2 in 8 minutes. Have fun. All right, so you've got that taken care of. Wonderful. And now we're going to continue with task 2. And task 2, that was the easy part, task 1, right? Task 2 is going to be a little more difficult. You need a piece of paper. It's fine, per group, one person. And you need to copy down the template that you see below. You don't need a ruler. It doesn't need to be perfect boxes. You just need these 4 categories. And it helps if you just write down the name of the person and maybe 2 or 3 little pieces of information. Just that it's there. The person is kind of present for you right there. But you can have your whole profile of the person. You just created this person, so you'll have that in the back of your mind. Now, put yourself in their body, in their mind, in their heart, okay? And think, and you're gonna see what they're seeing, hear what they're hearing. You're gonna think what they're thinking and feeling during just a normal day, a normal week, a normal year. Okay, so it's not an activity. It can be anything. They're walking through the streets. They're going shopping. They're at school. They're at home. They're going through the neighborhood. They're on a trip. What are they seeing in a general sense? What is this person seeing? Various times, all the time, sometimes. What are they hearing? Then that's the world around them, right? And then, but what are they thinking? What is this global citizen thinking? Think about some of the things we said about a global citizen, and how they're thinking. What are they feeling? All right, go into explore their heart. I think it's really good if you have the possibility to just be silent for 2 minutes. Then maybe if you're a teacher and you're facilitating this exercise, maybe just have everybody just be silent 2 minutes just for themselves to get take the time to get into this person, kind of explore this global citizen and think first. Then take another 12 or 13 minutes to do this activity. Okay, so go ahead and start doing that now. All right, so now we're going to move on to task number 3. This is fairly simple. I hope you just got for task 2 a lot of different words down, just ideas and everything. There's no right and wrong, right? So maybe you thought as a group you had kind of different ideas, and you put very different things that the person was feeling. That's perfectly okay. But as a group, just kind of go through the groups. Have one group present their results, and just maybe 2 or 3 of the things in each of the categories, and then the rest of the groups can just kind of add in, maybe leaving out the repetitions and just adding some new things. It's important here too. There's there's no right and wrong. So we have very different views and very different feelings about what a global citizen is. Even in the group, you might have noticed that. Now comparing the groups, it's going to be very different, and that's going to be interesting to look at. Maybe when you're listening, just think about it. How big is the person thinking? How small, how focused on them, their society. How some are going to be focused on bigger things. Some are gonna be much more positive, and some people are still maybe, yeah, maybe it's the person they want to force change, force other people to change quickly. There'll be some of that as well in there. So just be open for anything the groups have to say, and go ahead and take 12 minutes starting right now. All right. So that was the end of task 3. And I, I hope you had, let me put it this way. I hope you have some more time during class, right? I wanted to keep it to 1 hour. I think we about kept it to 1 hour, right? I'm sorry, maybe maybe I talked too much and you needed about an hour and 5 minutes right there. Still, if you have some time, because I think it's good to kind of discuss about this issue on maybe kind of some different levels, all right? And so I call this some food for thought for a discussion, and maybe you have another 20 minutes during class, and you can go through these different, read these foods for thought, and basically what I experience a lot, and so this is kind of more of a comparison. Think about your results, that very often what a global citizen, what they see and what they hear, that's what you would see and hear too. There's no real big difference. But what do we do with that? What do we think? What do we feel? And that's kind of the difference, is that, that the global citizen is actually going to be more convinced, and you'll see that in their thoughts and their feelings, that we should do something about it. They want to do something about it. And if you're able to really feel into a global citizen, there's going to be a very open mind, an open will. There's a lot of tolerance. There's, very much, there's an understanding of other people, of the people who are in a situation. There's an understanding of, people that are critiquing, the system. There's an understanding of the fact that people are maybe scared in a certain situation, and there's that they're not sure what to do next. So that's also interesting to see if some of the people are, if some of you kind of thought and felt into that as well. So yeah, go ahead and compare the results a little bit, and see if that was also the case. I'd like you to, maybe if you have time, reflect on the exercise itself. That means, how did it feel to do the exercise? How easy was it to do this exercise? It's, the person's not even real. You don't even really know them, right? So that's also difficult. And the fact that we're trying to think about some kind of like ideal person, right? Ideal global citizen. If you're not that person, is it even possible to, like, put yourself in that, in their shoes? What does that do with, maybe that released even some kind of negative emotions? Talk about it. That's okay. That is part of the exercise as well. Yeah. And then the last thing, take action. Think about what your school is doing. How are they working on global citizenship education? They might not be calling it that. That's okay, but if you are a UNESCO school, then you are maybe working on these issues. But think further than that. That's one thing, just to identify where we're at, what are we doing, but what could the school be doing? What could you be doing? And what will you do? So kind of the challenge right now to say, because that's the big difference. That's the knowledge action gap. That's, this, we can talk a lot, but where are you going to be in 12 months? How are you going to change something, on your level, or the level of a school, your classes, if you're an educator? It's real easy to point the fingers, the system, the system, the system. It's all of these external factors, and I understand that very well. I'm a teacher myself. You can't just throw it all in the trash and recreate, something new. That's not the point. But there can be that one, two, three things, I think.